Hello everybody and welcome to our live show tonight. We thought that we should celebrate Steve Irwin's amazing life, a firecracker that went out much, much too soon. Steve's enthusiasm was absolutely infectious and absolutely exhausting.
And have a go at this. My daughter is an absolute legend. Look at this. She tossed a little dragon. She saw it and she caught it. Just like your daddy does, huh? Hammerheads! Woo! Whammo!
Well, you don't know what we can find. Why don't you come with me?
Smell like.
Amazing stuff. The camera was his best mate almost. Steve was the wide-eyed kid who wouldn't grow up. Maybe that's why kids right around the world loved him. We'll talk about that with his wiggle mate Anthony Field. He's the Blue Wiggle, if you didn't know, and some other laughs as well tonight. But with us right now to help celebrate this phenomenon called Steve Irwin is a bloke who knew him best. In fact, his bestest mate, I think, Steve called John Swainton once. John was with him at the beginning of the journey, all those many years ago, and he was with him at the end out on the Barrier Reef last Monday morning. John, thank you for being here.
Thanks, man.
Have you had any sleep?
Not at all. 3 days I've been wide awake.
Has it sunk in for you yet?
Not really. I think Monday was so traumatic that a lot of those events that happened that day I've gone from my memory already. I've tried to block them out, I think. And I would hope that I can remember everything again in a couple of weeks' time when it all settles down. And at the moment, I'm trying to do what he would have wanted me to do, which is keep his dream alive and give people the true story of Steve Irwin.
I noticed you there. You've seen it over 20 years, but when we ran that footage and you were watching, you smiled.
I love it.
It makes you laugh.
I worked with him every day of my life, and when I wasn't working with him, I was in an editing booth and I would see him on the screens all the time. So the vision of Steve Irwin to me, it was a constant thing, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And what did Terry say to you today?
She said to me, John, do you realise that you've spent more time with my husband than I have in my marriage?
How is she coping?
Pretty tough. I mean, it's sort of hard for her. She was away at the time, and until we got Steve home last night, I think there was that finality that he was there and he was actually in the casket, and that was tough.
And Bindi is old enough to ask questions, I guess, and need to be told some answers.
She's a very, very level-headed little kid. They're very lucky. They've got 2 fantastic kids. Little Bob is going to be exactly like Steve. He's a chip off the old block, I tell you.
Is that right? Can I ask you, before we have a look at Steve in action, what have you done to Jermaine Greer? There's always someone who has a go.
I had to ask today, who is Jermaine Greer? And I think that's probably the best way to describe it, because she's sort of off the radar screens years ago, wasn't she?
Well, I think she's to all Australians tonight, let me tell you. Now, Steve Irwin has done a lot of things. In fact, just about everything he did in the wild looked pretty crazy to the rest of us. Still, I think we all wished that we could be that crazy, because he was obviously having a ball. Steve Irwin was never happier than when something was trying to bite him. Every now and then, something did.
Oh, both of us. In Australia, the cat. Maybe they do bite.
And there were the odd occasions when Steve was bitten on the bum, so to speak, when he found himself in a bit of unexpected strife. There was the Baby Bob incident, a baptism of fire in the crocodile pit for Steve's 1-month-old son.
Watch him, here comes Bobby, and look! Good boy, Bob.
In fact, the whole world watched, gobsmacked.
And this is one of those, what was he thinking stories.
After he fed a crocodile with one hand while holding his month-old baby in the other.
For a moment, it seemed as though the incident had dented Steve's reputation and his career.
I'm so hurt. I am as hurt as I get.
Child welfare officers poked around, but everyone accepted that even devoted dads make mistakes.
Have a look at her. Isn't she just darling?
Then, a long way from home, he seemed to slip up again. This time, believe it or not, Steve Irwin was accused of getting too close to wildlife in Antarctica.
when they do that thing that's angry.
And there was Steve, hugging a block of ice next to some wild whales.
I didn't even see them coming in, but they've come over to me for a bit of a look. They're thinking, what the heck is this flapping around? Woo-hoo! Woo!
Faced with criticism and a big fine, this time Steve decided to stare them all down.
I do not apologise because I have done nothing wrong. Here comes the other one.
He was right, and even the federal government agreed that he'd done nothing wrong. It was a measure of his incredible popularity that the mud didn't stick, and he was able to get back to doing what he loved most.
Have a go at this one. It's all knocked up, full in the tummy, and having troubles running through the rocks. Just because they're feral pests doesn't mean I don't love them. What's wrong, mate?
His special gift was dealing with animals that come equipped with sharp teeth and fangs and claws, and things that like to slither.
Glorious. Well, he's fat as mud. Absolutely prime condition. I'm losing light. You don't want to be up here in the dark with these tiger snakes. In fact, I wouldn't recommend rattling around this island anyway.
There have been some crazy antics along the way.
G'day, I'm Steve Irwin, Crocodile Hunter, and this is my zoo.
Hey, I'm Steve Irwin. I'm the Crocodile Hunter, and this is my zoo.
Steve, I thought this was our zoo.
Hey, it's not your zoo, it's our zoo.
Great, mate. It doesn't matter whose zoo it is. It's going to be insane. Let's go.
But for Steve, the banter and the bravado were never what it was really all about. He was about conservation and about making us like, if not exactly love, creatures that live under rocks and in swamps.
Have a look at his stingers. Poised, ready to go. Heck, he's going to whack me. And he's got a good stinger too. Have a look at the size of it. They got a fair sort of a wallop, but they wouldn't kill you. He's a beauty, isn't he?
And sometimes you have to wonder what gave him that special understanding, knowing when to stand his ground and when to just get out of there. He seemed to have the knack of knowing just how far he could go. His insatiable curiosity took him all over the world.
Beauty, woohoo! All my life I've wanted to swim with these things.
His unquenchable need to know rubbed off on all of us, taking us through the safety of the camera lens closer than we would ever dare to go.
What she's doing is coming up to, that top metre, 3 feet of water, and then bang, opening up the feeding mechanism, which is a huge big mouth, and going straight through.
It's sad to think that the joy and the journey have been cut short. I think he almost broke on that. Did he have no fear?
None at all. None at all. I just watching that clip with the gorilla, and what came after that was where the gorilla kissed him. He turned to me and he said, "I think it's a boy." That was funny.
All right, tell me about Baby Bob. What was that? I said even devoted dads make a mistake.
I was away on a cruise ship for Christmas holidays. Before I'd gone, I'd said to Steve, while I'm away, no publicity, please. No publicity. On the cruise ship, I was watching CNN. On comes the Baby Bob affair. I couldn't get to him, so I'm trying to fax press statements to him saying, I had long phone conversations with him, but in the press statements I'm just saying things like, yes, I apologise, because I thought it would all go away. Steve was so adamant that he did not make a mistake. To this day, he would never admit that was a mistake, and it wasn't. To him, he'd done it with Bindi, the same thing for years. It had been on American television for 9 years, or 7 years or whatever it was then, with Bindi doing the same thing.
But
and no one took any notice of it. Channel 9 shot it that day, Channel 10 shot it, Channel 7 shot it. It was unfortunate that 7 shot was stacked right on top of that crocodile and made it look very dangerous. 9 threw it away as a piece after the weather.
I guess it's a tribute to how much he was loved. Most performers wouldn't have got away with that, I don't think, because there was also the time of Michael Jackson, wasn't it?
Yes, they did. Well, not long after that, yeah. That was bad.
Yeah, all right. We'll come back in a moment with the Wiggles and Magda and Jay Leno remember Steve Irwin fondly.
If there's one thing that I, Steve Irwin, would want to be remembered for, it's be remembered for passion and enthusiasm. Yes! We have baby alligators. Oh, look at this guy go! Go, mate.